My videos can be long due to extemporaneous speech, but I want to let you know if you cannot stay for the entirety of this video, I promise you everything that you need will be spoken in the first 10 minutes. We are just going to listen to the message of this beautiful Muslima and have a conversation about what she has to say thereafter. Uh, yeah, I actually don't want to give her more of an introduction than that, but her warning and encouragement of delineation should be viral. So, if nothing else, if you cannot stick around, even for the 10 minutes that, all you need is 10 minutes here with me, even if this video is half an hour, share it. Share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with your coworkers. Check it out.
Before any of you Black Americans go caping for Indians, Arabs, or any of these other groups, you'll have to ask yourself, how do you think they would treat you in their country? If you were in their country, how would they treat you? And the answer is they'd probably shit on you and treat you like you're a no-class citizen, because that's the reality when you go to their country. Yet they come over here, they get everything handed to them, right? You go into their business, they act like some of them are outright disrespectful, but some of them are phony, right? And you should ask them, how do people like me, and put them on the spot, how do people like me get treated in your country? And they'll lie. Maybe the young ones won't lie, but they'll definitely lie. Um, so you shouldn't be caping for them. You shouldn't be virtue signaling for them. Because these people don't like you, they hate you. They're inherently anti-black. The Haji Mart owners, the motel owners, the gas station owners, they are inherently anti-black and they are at war with you. Here, they are making moves to subvert you and your children for generations to come. So when these white people want to get them to fuck up out of the country, let them get them to fuck up out of the country. You sit your ass back and let them white boys do God's work. Huh? Let them do God's work. Let them get them the fuck up out of here. These Arabs, these Indians, these Palestinians, all of them. Every last motherfucking one of them. Because they're all anti-black and they're all posers. Ask the Palestinians, the yellow-skinned Palestinians, how they treat the brown-skinned Palestinians, the indigenous people of that place, of that land. The real people of Palestine look like me or darker. And you ask them about the caste system they have there before you go raising a flag and take your ass outside and protest them for these Palestinians. You have to go to these people's country and see how they behave, how they really are. They're over here posing, they're over here pretending. You can't trust none of these fucking people. And like I said, they are inherently anti black. Unless you've been over there, which I have many times, I've been to different places. I know how these people are. I don't fuck with them. I don't go into their business. I make it my business to find out who owns what. I look up public records to understand who owns, what, so that I'm not putting my money anywhere these fucking parasites are. So understand it. Your energy belongs in your community, uplifting your people, raising your children properly, you know, doing everything you need to do to build community in your families.
Like I said, everything you need will be in the first 10 minutes of this video. And you know it, I'm looking at the counter and I'm seeing I just made it to 5 minutes. You can close the video out here because that is the message to listen to. That is the message to hear. That's it. That's all. There's no more. However, what I am going to do as someone who comes from an international city is speak on my experience when it comes to international communities. I was born in the Central District of Seattle in the 80s. And we were pushed out as a Black community. There's a historically Black community that virtually no longer exists in the central area of Seattle. And we were pushed south via gentrification. Okay. So I went to a high school called Franklin High School, right? Great big Franklin Garfield rivalry, blah, blah, blah. Franklin High School is literally on the cusp of South Seattle in the Central District. Like literally, there's a little road, and then bam, you're smack dab in the central. Uh, so in South Seattle, right? Not Central Seattle, South Seattle, mainly Rainier Valley. So when you hear Sir Mix-a-Lot sing, "My Posse's on Broadway," right? He's talking about the streets that I grew up on, such as Rainier and Henderson, XYZ. Okay. In the Rainier Valley area, there are over 66 national languages spoken. So if you should take the word of any American Negro on all these communities being anti Black, it should be the overexposed American Negro. It should be a Negro like me. So many of our people live in insular communities in Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama and Florida, and the Carolinas, Tennessee, Kentucky, Arkansas, Milwaukee, Indiana. But the West Coast Black American knows something that the rest of the community doesn't. And that's that these people are vehemently anti Black. I don't want to name any particular community because there are a lot of hot button issues right now surrounding certain communities. And they're trying to make it look like there's some kind of mutual rivalry, racism, whatever. And that's not it. Black Americans are just tired. The Black American millennial, and I would go as far as to say Gen Z, we know what our less integrated counterparts from Gen X and boomers do not know. My family would come from Louisiana and they'd be so excited, especially the men in our family. I remember Cedric the Entertainer came here and said, "I've never seen so many interracial relationships in my life. It is as if they issue you your white girl at the border." And there was a huge roaring laughter at this comedy club because every Black man was in there with a non Black woman, right? You have a lot of self hating Black people here. However, the millennials and Gen Z have seemed to work as a remedy towards that because we're so overexposed. We're not in Shreveport, Louisiana, where there's nothing but us. We're not in Atlanta, Georgia, where there is nothing but us. Or at least, these majority place. We are a minority out here. There are communities of Asians are not a minority here. I graduated from the University of Washington. They were not a minority there. I graduated again from Seattle University. They're not a minority there. Make no mistake that this Seattle, Bellevue, Issaquah, Kent Renton, it is Wasian. It is Wasian and Legitimaquah. These are the people who run this. You do not run this if you are Indigenous Black American. Hell, if you are an Indigenous Siberian, if you are Duwamish, you do not run this. If you are Puyallup, Tulalip, you do not run this. It is Wasian and LGBTQ plus IA ran out here. And the class right up under them are those of refugee immigrant status. And so if you want to look at a place that is ran by these communities, you could just visit Seattle. You could just visit Kent, Renton, our surrounding cities, suburbs of Seattle, Bellevue, Issaquah. As a person who grew up here, I mean, I scarcely had a full Black friend growing up. If they were Black, they were half. These people, these communities, are as anti-black as that beautiful Muslim woman said. Lupita Nyong'o was 12 years a slave. I was 13 years a Muslim. There's a reason I am no longer a Muslim. And much of that is from the trauma of being a Black American in an international Muslim community. Now, maybe if I was a Muslima in Philly, maybe the outcome would have been different. Personally, what I've heard about Philly Muslims is traumatizing, but this ain't about that. The latent hatred for you as a Black American is unbelievable. When I say these people hate Black, they hate you unless you are a celebrity. Unless you can garner a round of applause, they hate you. And I don't want to say everybody, but maybe like, there are like Cham Cambodian people. I've not seen them, and maybe some of the Cham Vietnamese. I've not seen, well, I've seen the Vietnamese be hateful towards Black people, but just the Cham Muslim, Cambodian Muslims in general, they don't care. They're practically they're practically Black. They're functionally Black themselves. So or somewhere in the middle, right? Right? Because I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be fair. But when I was adopted by all these international communities that run the gamut, the spectrum, the African, the Asian, the Arab, that run the spectrum of communities, it was always, you're not like the rest of them. You're different though. She's African American. Oh my God, I would have never guessed. Well, you don't talk like an African American. You don't speak like, well, you just don't seem. And my curious behind, well, what would make you say that? What makes you think that? And the things that they would say and do, the things that they would say and do look like a minstrel show straight out of Dixieland, straight out of the antebellum South. And I'd follow that up with, do you know many Black people? And I know what the answer is to that because I live out here. We're not here like this. We're not out here like that. We might got Angela Rye and Jason Terry. We're not out here like that. And I'm like, so you don't know any American Negroes, but you know exactly who and how we are. I've got to answer my door. I've just gotten a delivery. I'm going to go on ahead and play this. I'll be right back.
Dominicans are not black. We are not black. And no matter how much black Americans cry about it, we're not black. We will never be black because I look black, but we're not black. And it's just a reminder to black Americans who are so pathetically forcing Dominicans to label themselves as black. But we keep telling them we have our own culture. We know black papi. They still force it on us. So just a reminder, Dominicans are not black.
I don't identify myself as a black person anymore. I identify myself as a Jamaican person. I'm Jamaican.
I've always identified as a Grenadian.
American one, and I'm not black. Everybody was shocked at that statement. Like,
Black? What are you then? Like I'm a
When I tell you people come to America and the top 3 ways that they show their patriotism is anti-blackness, I mean, in the words of Beyonce, top 2, and that ain't number 2. They think patriotism and assimilation is being anti-black. And I can't even validate that statement because my mind hit me with, well, I'm something of a globetrotter. I've been around the world like Gloria Stansfield. And the anti-blackness is all over the place. Now I can tell you honestly, in Saudi Arabia, uh, it was a culture shock to me because uh, their inward status is, for them, it's Asian people. It's people from Bangladesh and Nepal and the Philippines. And that shocked the hell out of me. And when I was in South Africa, I was told by a biracial Black American that I would be Black in South Africa. But when I got there, I was colored. And that shocked the hell out of me too. but I still got to witness because I was there with other people and with other ethnicities. Some of the women were African. I was still able to bear witness that the abuse was associated with the skin color, and that because I was light enough to pass for something like a Tyla, I didn't get hit with all that. But it was still terrifying to watch in a culture shock because I had never not been black in my entire American Negro life until I went to South Africa, and I didn't know how to handle that. It broke me on so many levels. Just traveling the world. But this Muslim woman is not lying to you. I'm not here to pick on any particular community because I know what the canons of white supremacy does. I know that I don't have to do it because while the canons rest in the direction of Black Americans, indigenous Black Americans, oh, they spin them things. It's like, their home sweet home is the Black American, but they'll bother some Latinos for a while and then get back to us. They'll bother some refugees for a while and get back to us. They'll bother some immigrants for a while and get back to us. Those cannons of white supremacy are always revolving towards and around us. But when I tell you these communities have no love or loyalty for your community, I will never forget the things that Black Muslim men would say about the men's side of the mosque. In Arabic, we would say masjid, and the plural of masjid is masajid. And so at all of these masajid, except for in places like Germantown, Philadelphia, you'd have Black men in the religion of Islam. The people are commanded to pray shoulder to shoulder and foot to foot. That's why you got to wash your body before you pray. It's not just about purity with Allah, it's about purity with your brother. You shouldn't have nobody who has to stand that close to you should have to smell you funky. Should have to smell your bad breath, your armpits, your funky feet. That's why people wash up for the prayer. And I mean, I tell you, after these people make their ritual ablution, they will practically trot. They will practically jog in the opposite direction from a Black person. They got no problem being Indian, Arab, and Asian in the same line, shoulder to shoulder, foot to foot. Got no problems doing that with a white American convert. But you take your Black and or African behind into that line and watch people run from you. Thing is, it's happened to me on the sisters' side of the mosque. I'll never forget being in Pittsburgh and, this Arab girl, like, I mean, she was practically a foot away from me. Now, because I was such a conservative, rule following, damn near cultish kind of Muslim, I was heavily influenced by a group of Muslims called Sufis and another group of Muslims called Salafis. And so when I read in these different hadith, in these books of promise when it comes to what the Islamic religion should look like. When I read in the guaranteed proofs of Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, Sahih is an Arabic word that means genuine. Like you can take this check to the bank and cash it, it will not bounce. This is factual Sunni Islam. This is factual Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. This is the way the Prophet Muhammad ibn Abdullah, blessings and peace be upon him, practiced the religion. Right? So when I read in these hadith that Allah will not look, He won't even look, let alone hear you. He won't look at a crooked line. And I say to the sisters, we got to get closer. I want to be heard. We got to submit and know what I thought now. We got to hear and obey. We got to throw this racism stuff away. So I did this for 13 years. And I'm like, and I smell I smell better than the majority of you because I've got American sensitivities. I'm not walking around here without deodorant. When it comes to the woman's side of the mosque, you're not allowed to wear perfume in the ways that the men are, right? They say that women who perfume themselves before they go to the mosque, like there's something wrong with them. Like it's sinful for them to do that because it may cause a man to stumble or look at them twice. But me and my Black American ways, we're very friendly with bleach and disinfectant, baking soda. Like we will go there because I come from a culture where we clown you if you're funky. We don't just accept it. You can't just show up to a Black American gathering and your armpits smell like onions because you're gonna get told. You're gonna get ranked on. They're gonna do the dozens. Is you so funky, right? So I didn't come from that kind of background, but I'm like, I'm clean as I don't know. Like I had a Muslim girl tell me, you're probably the cleanest person I know because she's like, I never met a person who showers twice a day. And I say I only shower twice a day when I'm leaving the house because I shower before I leave, obviously as a courtesy because that's part of good manners. And I shower when I come back because I don't want whatever was outside in my sheets with me. And these women would run from me for 13 years in all these different places and all these different mosques, except for maybe when I was actually in Saudi Arabia. And even then, people were praying any kind of way that they wanted to. And I'm like, I just want to be seen and heard by Allah. I should probably stay home, right? Because, women have the option of staying home and praying, whereas men, they got to get out there on them Fridays. But it was appalling, every Eid, right? You see the Muslims, they're like, oh, Eid Mubarak. Ramadan is over. You go out to these big prayers and people will still group up and link up. And I'm just like, you were born into this religion. I just converted to this. Like I know that Allah doesn't look at a crooked line. So you want this whole group of people to just be forgotten and ignored because you don't want to you don't want to stand next to a black person. But when you ask the Muslim, is racism a part of your religion? They say no. In the last khutbah, in the last sermon of the Prophet Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said a white is not superior to a black, and a black's not superior to a white, and an Arab is not superior to a non-Arab, and vice versa. It's all about piety and taqwa and God consciousness, and that's the determiner of character. I'm like, that's what he said. Sure, but it's not what you do. There was an Asian Islamic scholar that I used to respect when I was living and working in Saudi Arabia. Asian guy. I want to say his name is Asim Al Hakim. I forgot. But he was saying something like, as Muslims, we should not be ashamed of slavery. That is our way as Muslims. What the man's right hand possesses, that is our sunnah, and we should not. And I'm like, well, I'm a nigga, and I am diametrically opposed to slavery. And so when I was Muslim, I would be like, the Prophet Muhammad was always all about, manumitting slaves and freeing them. And they purchased Bilal from someone who would beat him because they wanted to free him. And I would do all of that, right? But even in the first foundations of Muslims, even in the first generation of anybody who was ever a Muslim, I'm talking Prophet Muhammad, I'm talking Umar, I'm talking Abu Bakr, I'm talking Khadija, I'm talking Aisha, I'm talking all these people who are called the Salaf, the first generations of Muslims. You got a guy who wants to insult Bilal and he calls him something like Ya ibn as-Sauda, you son of a eh, you son of a black woman. And that was like saying, you son of a bitch. Fuck your mama, nigga. Go suck on the clit. That go suck your mother. Equivalence. Just to be the son of a black woman. And I don't know if it was Ibn Abi Dawood or whoever who was just like, hey, yo, go apologize to Bilal. We don't do that. You got all kind of stories in that hadith about people like, oh my God, they had such beautiful skin and the skin was white. Nicknames for the prophet's wife who he married when she was 6 and consummated when she was 9. They're like, oh, one of the names he called her was the little white one. And I'm like, and you're getting off on that? Why is that a big deal? And that's another nigga problem, right? Because niggas murder. I'm gonna use the word. We kill pedophiles. We kill people. That people say, oh, Black Americans have no culture. There's nothing taboo in their culture. I just gave you 2 taboos. Black Americans are the reason in prison culture you can't have a child molester in the general population because we will murder you. Once we know that you've penetrated a child, we will murder you or do the same thing to you that you did to that child and do it until you die. Because one of the worst things to the Black American is that you would offend a child. They call it prison justice. You can Google it. I'm not lying to you. Because if you look at the demographic of people who are regularly penetrating children, it's not us. I'm not saying we don't have a few throwaways who need to be hung from Congo Square, but that's not our way. That's not our cultural way. Besides, there's a reason Black men like hips and curves because kids don't look like that. These men like big women who look like they've had 3 kids already because she needs to be a grown up. Even if you hear these men harping on women in their 20s and 30s, that's fine. Teens and preteens is not. And you have so many Muslims who are like, no, well, he didn't have sex with her until she was 16. I'm like, wasn't the Prophet Muhammad dead by the time Aisha was 16? Correct me if I'm wrong. But in the Sahih of Imam al-Bukhari, which if a hadith is Sahih, if it's genuine, you cannot argue with it. It says he married her at 6 and consummated at 9. So between slavery and being able to be with kids just because they've had a menstrual cycle, these are things that Black Americans are unanimously just anti. And trust me, the way that we will slice your throat over a kid, we'll slice our own. We will slice our own. It's not all of a sudden okay because a Black American did it. We'll get rid of you. We'll get rid of one of our own as well. And it's a virtue among us. Now that's a little bit of a tangent. You can be mad at me if you want to. But when it comes to slavery and when it comes to anti-Blackness, these people, one of the ways that I fell out with the Muslims at my university is because I had the nerve to say that Moses was Black and so was Jesus. Now, of course, maybe Black as a category didn't exist back then, but I'm like, if you put these people in a present context, if you put Moses in his dark skin, his thick lips, and his nappy hair, because there's something called a hilia. A hilia hilia is just a description. There are books in Islam that are, a couple thousand years old, and it talks about, roughly, over, I'll just say over 1,000 years old, and it talks about the descriptions of the prophet, what they look like, man. What that Prophet Muhammad looked like, man. He had a big forehead, his eyes were like coal black, and he had these really wide palms and broad feet, and he was medium height, but closer to tall than short. And they tell you what he looked like. They talk about how Jesus' hair could carry a lot of water. Weird description, right? But when you get a certain amount of hair, certain kind of hair wet, I'm telling you, there's not a type of hair that carries more water than dreadlocks. I'm not doing that with you. You get a person's hair wet with dreadlocks and they can dang near break their neck. Halle Bailey, when she played that mermaid and she did that thing where she popped out of the water with her hair, she said, I dang near broke my neck. Now, Moses is described as looking like one of the people of Azut, right? Who knows who they are? And so another part of his description was Aswad al Aswadain. And that is how the Muslims begin to throw me away. That is how I begin to fall out with people. I'm like, why are you arguing with me when it's in your holy book? Because they thought in their minds that to call a prophet black was sacrilegious because black is disgusting. And there are different muftis and different places who, not Islamically based, but they're like, oh, when does a woman not have to wear hijab? Well, when that woman is black, because how can she be desirable if she's black? Now, you can't turn through the pages of Islam and find, anti blackness, right? Because the first martyr of Islam was a black woman named Sumaya. The Prophet Muhammad was an unlettered orphan. The person who breastfed him, Ayman, black. And he knew his people had a problem with niggas. And so he would be like, oh, man, Allah loves Ayman. If you want to see a woman of Jannah, of heaven, check her out, bro. That's her. Very, very few people promised while they were living that they would go to heaven, but she was one of them. So they'll tell you all about how the religion. No, there's a surah called Luqman, and Luqman was black and big lipped, and Bilal was black, and he called the adhan. And I'm like, you guys treat black people like crap. All of that happened to try to teach you people, to try to civilize you away from your ways when it comes to being anti-black. But you're all anti-black. Even the black ones among you are anti-black. Some of these insults, they got nigger in every language. And it sounds like I'm just picking on Muslims. I'm just part of the reason I'm talking about Muslims is because the beautiful lady at the beginning of the goddamn video was Muslim. But Muslims come in every color. Muslims come in every color. And they're a great read on the international world. They truly are. If you want your pulse, if you want your finger on the international world, all you got to do is go to a mosque. You know what's going on in Indonesia, and Malaysia, and Singapore, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Zanzibar, Senegal, Gambia, Saudi Arabia, UAE. You'll pick it up because the Muslims come in every color, real bad, real bad. And what these communities have in common is that they're anti-black. And when they tell you they're not, I'm telling you they're lying to you. I remember Loon, Puff Daddy's Loon. I need a girl to ride, ride, ride. I need a girl. When he converted, the point I'm trying to make is when you're an African American celebrity, they love you. But Loon could walk in there and nobody knew who he was. Somebody who looked just like Loon, and they'd run from him in the prayer. Nigga, don't touch me. I don't want your black skin on my skin. Ew. They treat you like that, like it's contagious. You cannot deny me my experiences. No, that's not true. We don't talk about black Americans like this. I'm like, you guys call us Abid, Arab. Why are you lying? Abid means slave. And in the context, nigger. Why are you lying? You guys call us Jarir. Jarir means hard hair, nappy headed. Why are you lying? All kind of gallo and ajanabi and fucking, excuse my language, monkeys and just weird things. I'm like, all your languages have an N word. You don't think that's weird that you all have a derogatory name for us? Now, Gallo isn't exclusive to black people. Jareer is very anti-Bantu, anti like anybody who's got, type 4 hair. Uh, that's a Somali word. Ajanabi, it kind of just means stranger. And I believe that word is Arabic as well. But the point is, you could be another Muslim and say salam alaikum to somebody, and they're just like, I'm not repeating salam to that ajanabi. What is that? People would see me in full hijab and oh, you're a Muslim? You think because I got a nigga face and a nigga voice, I'm not a Muslim? What is wrong with you? And the sincerest of them will tell you. You see, like this Muslim woman did in this video, the most sincere among them, the truest among them will tell you, I would marry you in a heartbeat, but my family would disown me. I could never bring you home. And a lot of black men had the hell humbled out of them because they thought, oh, I'm converting to Islam and I'm going to get me a little exotic something to submit to me and it's going to be great. And you wonder why the only girls you can marry is some Pakistani reject whore who's got 3 baby daddies who no self-respecting Pakistani would touch. And that's the one you got to marry. You didn't get to marry some Ambani or some noble family or whatever because you're black. You don't get to JD Vance and marry Usha, who was a damn Brahmi caste in India, because you're black, bro. The Brahmin class is the highest caste in India. That's to them damn near white. Anti blackness is a global phenomenon. And this is why people eat at Black Americans like a buffet. This is why people can tell you you have no culture and simultaneously be obsessed with your culture and consuming your culture. And what this woman was saying is like, this is the reason people think we're dumb. Because all these people, whenever you see these panels and channels and chat rooms out here, they're always calling Black Americans stupid. Like we haven't graduated from this and that university. Black women get depressed and they go get a degree to fix their depression. But they love calling us stupid and dumb. And I had a woman, an East African woman, tell me it's because you're too nice. We think when people are nice like that, it's got to be because they need people or because they're stupid. Because why would you be that nice? And I'm like, that's wild. It's our culture. It's our culture to care. I remember taking a double-blind Harvard study test where they would calculate your impulses to tell you whether or not you're racist. And mine would always say, I have no inclination towards black or white people, that I'm just in the middle, that I'm neither. And everybody at my university was like, well, I don't want to read my results because I don't feel like they accurately represent me. And I'm like, you're scared to read your results because they say that you're anti-black. And then one of the Asian guys in the class was just like, yeah, I don't care. Mine says I'm anti-black and pro-white, and I don't care because I get that's right. I don't like black people. And everybody in the fucking classroom stared at me, and I'm like, bitch, don't stare at me. I'm happy he said this shit because he just said out loud what you couldn't say. We're the only 2 people besides the professor who were speaking in this class. And I know you're silent because your speech is congruent with his. I'll never forget. Black Americans have been supporting Palestine since Nakba. And don't ever tell me we haven't. And to this day, many of us do. But I will never forget When these black women crawled up on TikTok and they said, we went to Palestine, we were in the trenches, we were in the rubble, the bombs were flying overhead, and these Palestinians were calling us Avid and Abid and Abd. Trilateral root, it all means the same thing. Slave, nigga. Tell the Abid to get it. Why aren't the Abid helping enough? Get the And we're like, huh? And then the other Americans who weren't black, they're like, oh, put yourself aside. These people are going through a lot. It's like, nah, bro. Y'all are tripping. Y'all are like white people in with under dementia care and hospice. These white folks in hospice will forget their name, forget their spouse, their children, their grandkids, but for some reason they won't forget that they're racist. They won't forget that they're anti-black. You done forgot everything else. You done forgot who you are. Why does it run that deep for you? And the Muslim woman at the beginning of the video was like, just by the way, you guys, preserve yourself. Because if the shoe were on the other foot, they would not do the same for you. Black Americans never had this attitude before. You got Jesse Wu and other people like, when did Black Americans get xenophobic? You ever stop to think that maybe we never were? That's why you're shocked. I see people from other ethnic groups, especially, African groups and black, they're like, wow, I never heard African American. Yeah, that's the point. You've never heard this from us because we've never done it. You have. Your parents raised you telling you you're better than us and that we are deficient and defect and defunct. Stop lying. These people want to get on panels with Black Americans. Why do you want to be a victim so bad? We're not anti-Black American. We don't even think of you. You don't even cross our minds. Yeah, you're just dressed like us, listening to our music, but we don't cross your mind. All you have to do is talk to a Black American Muslim. And the thing is, the Black American Muslim is so Muslim that they're more Muslim than the Muslims. And they will still want to defend the Muslim community, but they'll be like, no, it's definitely there. I'm telling you, you got to be a special ass nigga if you want these people in these mosques to respect you. You got to be a football player or something. And I'm like, oh, look, I know the football player Negro, blah, blah, blah. We take pictures at the mosque together. Yeah, we shared a tea. But if you're just, Joe Negro going in there to pray, working security at the masjid, they'll talk crazy in their language in God's house about you. And it's like, what kind of savage nonsense? Like you don't have any respect for Allah? You gonna do that here? Black folk won't curse in a church. Black folk, unless it's a funeral, black people will not act up. They will leave before they act up. Now, the parking lot, I don't know what to tell you, but there's reverence there. And I'm like, you just chilling in the back of the mosque, talking crazy about and like I like I said, the most beautiful among them will tell you. I'll never forget being in the Jamia Muslimin, South Seattle, one of the Imam sisters, Vietnamese woman, very racist. Cham, right? And I just got done telling you that the Cham people are not are not anti-black. But she's Cham Vietnamese and they are Cham Cambodians, and the Vietnamese are a toss-up, but the Cambodians tend not to be anti-black. But a Cham Vietnamese woman was talking crazy about the black people in the mosque, and a Cham Cambodian woman got up and she started translating for all of us. She got up and she started translating because she was a true Muslim. She's like, you don't do that in the mosque. You can't do that here. We're all Muslim. I never saw that Imam sister again. I'm sure, obviously, well, I didn't really go back. Hey, I'm not Muslim anymore. But the point is, even in the house of God. It's like they can't kick it out of their bones. This anti blackness. The Mexicans will tell you. So many of them have a black grandmother whose photos they hide, a black grandma in the closet. It's not even funny. These Mexican men be down bad for morenitas, be down bad for your physical appearance, for your qualities as a woman, for your strength as a woman, because these are men who love to build. And black women, we carry burdens like hell. That's why people call us masculine now, because we have the endurance of oxen. But when I tell you these Nick Fuentes people will be out here and let you know straight up and down what they Mexican asses, Mexicans don't fuck with black people. It's like Mexicans have a day in prison where they all put on boots and just go and they kill black people. Kendrick Lamar and Tupac are both rapping about how much they love Mexicans. Hell, Bitty Bitty Bum Bum, how much I love Mexicans. But you go to Compton right now, and it's black people who no longer exist there because they were chased out of their communities by Mexican gangs. Their houses set on fire, shot up, people causing problems with it because they wanted to take over. And what's crazy is I've seen more Hispanic and Latino workers for ICE than any other group. More than white people, more than black people, more than Asian people, more than I mean Esteban, damn Jorge Gonzalez, names on these ICE people. And I'm like, you yelling at black Americans and you guys are, I will vote the tang tang for Donald Trump, the tang tang tang, oh my God. I will vote the tang 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 for Donald. I'm like, that's you. Black women voted for Kamala and Harris Walls by 92%, and you're yelling at us. You're mad at us. You're targeting us. Ain't that about a biscuit? What do you mean? Because we got quiet? Black Americans are in a place in their culture that they've never been before, to the point where a renaissance is being forced on us. A revolution in our culture has been forced on us in the way that it was forced on us the first time when we got ourselves out of slavery. And that's another thing. Amanda Seals, I don't know why you would say such a thing like black Americans wouldn't be free without Haiti. We were revolting before Haiti got their freedom. We had plenty of unsuccessful revolts, but we didn't stop revolting nonetheless. Ebo Landing is when a bunch of black women drowned themselves because they said, I'd rather be buried in my grave before I live as a slave. And it's not like a Haitian sent a boat or tinker, nothing. It's like, oh, we're free, so you're free. No, look, we give you your January 1st pride. We clap. We congratulations, y'all did that. Y'all really did that, but not for us, not with us. Y'all did that on an island far away from our continental American experience. It's not like y'all left Haiti and said, all right, let's go free America. That's not what happened. I don't know what's with people trying to constantly put black Americans under the feet of other people in the diaspora, but that's fueling delineation. You think it's so stupid for people to say delineation. You think it's so stupid for black Americans not to want to be grouped with you. Black Americans are this generation of black Americans, millennials especially, were overexposed to people's anti-blackness. This is what diversity has showed the American Negro. When shit was just black and white, we were Dr. fucking King. When shit was just black and white, we were Malcolm fucking X. Because a lot of y'all families got here in the early 70s. Keep it a fucking buck. A lot of y'all got over here in the early fucking 70s. You weren't here in the 1800s. Stop lying. You weren't here in the early 1900s. Stop lying. Might have had a few people trickle into here in the 1950s, but by and large, the immigrants, you've immigrated after the 70s. You immigrated after over our dead bodies from the civil rights. So before you got here and shit was just black and white, we were screaming for everybody. Hell, even the Mexicans and the Native Americans had to join the black student unions. Even the Samoans had to start a Samoan Black Panther party because we were the party of the people. African Americans left to their own devices fought for everybody. Anybody who has ever listened to some of these Black Panther founders, they would say black power to black people, yellow power to yellow people, red power to red people, white power to white people, all power to the people. Really go back and look at some of these documentary footage. It's out there for you to learn. Left to our own devices, we championed everybody, indiscriminately. The only people who never saw color was us. The only people in America who never saw color, oh, I'm colorblind, I don't see color, was us. And once you get here, your shit on is bad, real bad. You don't got no respect. Some of these people, these black people who integrated the first schools, when black and white schools were separate, they're still alive. You think this shit happened a long time ago. They're still alive to tell you what happened. You ever heard of Actively Black, the clothing brand? They showed you Malcolm X's daughter, not granddaughter, not great, great, great. The shit wasn't that long ago. She's alive. They showed you Dr. King's Bernice King daughter, still alive. They showed you that viral black man who went viral for drinking water out of a white only fountain. He was modeling the clothing. This is not that long ago. We got people in our family who are dead who we can't contact because they died for these rights. All these people are younger than Donald Trump, my nigga. It's not my fault that you're Gen Z and you don't have a concept or a timeline. You niggas think it's funny when you're like, oh, you were born in the 80s. You know, were you a slave? It's like that's a funny joke, but really your generation has a problem with timelines. And you don't know history. And you're ingrates. You gotta, oh, black people are crying about what happened 400 years ago. Millennials and Gen X are the only generations in America who have lived their entire lives with equal rights. Go straight to hell. Go straight to hell with that bullshit. My mother was a toddler when Dr. King was assassinated. You better wake the fuck up. It's not my fault you think the shit was further away than it really was because you weren't here to experience it, because you don't have any relatives who experienced it. These are aunts, uncles, and grandmothers and people we can't go to their house because they're dead. Because they had their heads blown smooth off their shoulders, because they were hung from trees like strange fruit for the rights you come in here willy-nilly and enjoy. You don't think we got a right to be mad about that? Oh, Black Americans are so jealous of immigrants. You ever think there's another emotion other than jealousy? You ever think maybe we're just fucking offended? Jealous of what? How? Black Americans alone, if we were our own country, we'd still be in the top 5. Our spending power alone is more than the GDP than all 54 nations in Africa. Stop playing with Black Americans. We're not jealous. Our feelings are hurt. We're tired of you. We're exhausted. And then you insult us some more. Yeah, your ancestors died for these rights, but you don't do shit, and we're surpassing you, and we're this because those same ancestors told us to be still collectively. I swear people do the most when they're like, "Oh, Black Americans are not united. We're more united than we are divided because 40 something million people all got the same message from their ancestors and sat the fuck down because we're watching you already walk over our dead bodies. We're already watching you. We're already watching you prance on the people who lost their lives to the civil rights movement. We're already watching you enjoy all these rights and government handouts that we established for you. Through police dogs, police brutality, through COINTELPRO, through tapped phones, through incarceration, Mumia Abu Jamal, Assata Shakur, and you mock us. You deride us. You ever think maybe we're just offended? Maybe we're just through with you? Oh, they're jealous because we have soft hair. Bitch, we could buy the hair. If we're mad about the hair, we could buy the fucking hair. Don't say it's your, please don't say it's your culture because we don't want to live like you. There's a reason you're everywhere but in your home country. A lot of these people, they can handle everybody but their own fucking people. Anywhere they go on the face of the planet Earth, they're successful except for in their own homeland. I'm like, you don't even want to deal with you. You don't even want to deal with your own tribalism. You don't even want to deal with those roadblocks. You don't even want to deal with what will happen to you if you say it's like how Trump is talking about, oh, they're killing Nigerian Christians. Black Americans know that's not true. I don't know what the hell this Caribbean Nicki Minaj is doing. We know that's not true. We know they're not isolating Christian people. We know that it's a tribal war. We know that it's a turf war. We recognize that shit all day, every day. We know just Bloods, Crips, folks, disciples. We know that, that these people are Igbo and these people are Hausa, whatever it is, and they're Fonkin. They're the Capulets and Montagues from Romeo and Juliet. I'm like, this ain't about exterminating Christians. You can use that excuse so you can go get the consent of your Christian nation to go blow up a bunch of Nigerians. But we know that that's not what's going on. Got nothing to do with religion and everything to do with tribal warfare. Black Americans are some of the most culturally competent people on planet Earth, and I can say that as a person who has traveled as far and wide as I have traveled. I can say that to a person who has a brand new passport because my old passport ran out of pages. Ran out of pages before it expired because stamp, 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 stamp. Dubai this, Qatar that, Saudi Arabia, Yemen. Too much. Stamp, 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 stamp. The only groups of people who are similar in heart and cultural thrust to the Black American are Aborigine groups because we are also Aborigines. And we tell you that and you laugh at us. You ever think that makes people hate you? We are telling you, we are acknowledging that we have African and European admixture, but just like we don't think we're white, we don't think we're African. Our primary ethnic base, according to our own ethnogenesis in these Americas, is Aborigine. You think Aborigines are these black people on every other continent but America? Australian Aborigines, black. Tasmania, black. India, black. Philippines, black. All these black diggity dark, curly haired, Aborigines everywhere. And then when we say, hey, we're the Aborigines of America, you're like, huh? Ooh, pretendian. Ooh, you're faking. You don't think that makes people mad? You were telling people that Black American grandmothers, Gen X, I mean, boomer and silent generation grandmothers, that millions of our grandmothers were liars when they said, hey, by the way, you're Choctaw, Chickasaw, Cherokee, Yamasee, Washita. And don't you forget it. Don't you forget it. Don't you forget that Harriet Tubman knew how to navigate from north to south because she was an indigenous woman. She may or may not have an admixture of African and European blood, but that woman knew what she knew. She knew how to read these stars because she's an Aborigine, and it's part of our culture. You don't just show up from Africa and know how to get from the north to the south. And when we say that, you mock us. You don't think that's offensive enough for people to throw up their middle fingers? It doesn't have to be jealousy. If they wanted your hijab, they would just wear it. They'd just convert. If they wanted you jealous of your Islam, they could just pray facing the northeast 5 times a day. If they were jealous of your rice and chicken, they just make their own. They're just YouTube a recipe. Jealous of your looks? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Not when we give birth to Beyonce. Not when we give birth to Janet Jackson. Not when we give birth to Coco Jones, homie. Not when we're literally Michael Jackson. International global heartthrobs. I'm so sorry. And you could talk about Mike and his surgeries and Mike in his 50s and 40s, but honey, from 8 years old to 48 years old, that man could walk in a room and make somebody pass out. Even with his Negro nose and Jackson 5 nostrils. Apparently, it ain't all that bad of a feature. Let's say it is. You think we'd want to trade everything that we are over an aquiline nose? Hell, buy the nose. I can't buy the influence. I can't buy the bloodline. I will never want to trade with anyone the fact that I come from the same roots as Michael Jackson. I'm a Jackson on my maternal family, my grandmother. Before she was Rosa Handley, she was Rosa Jackson. I am very proud of being kinfolk to the Jackson people. I'm very proud of being a Choctaw, Chickasaw. I'm very, very proud. What did Michael say when they were like, oh, well, since you're so pale, would you want a white person to play you in a mute? He said, no, I am a proud Black American. I could buy the nose, I can't buy the influence. I get to walk around knowing I'm kin to Kendrick Lamar. I come from the same group. I get to walk around knowing that I belong to the same ethnicity of the woman who invented GPS. I'm thugging out here. I'm proud. I get to come from the same group as Tupac Shakur. I get to come from the same group as the woman who invented the microphones that you use from Skype to Zoom. I get to claim her. I get to claim her. You wouldn't have a cell phone, you wouldn't have a personal computer if it wasn't for what? Niggas. It's not my fault you don't know we invented this shit. It's not my fault you don't know history. It's not my fault you don't know that we're responsible for the majority of modern day conveniences you live with in your everyday life. It's not my fault that every February Black History Month, all you hear about is George Washington Carver and his peanut butter. Call waiting. The fact that you can even click over, the fact that you can even call somebody on three-way, a conference call was a Black woman who did that. It's not my fault you don't know that. I will never trade that for a thin nose and a long neck. I will never trade that for smooth hair that I can buy. I can buy that shit, take a picture in it, and take it right back out. Because truth be told, a lot of that smooth hair, you can't really style it. All that type 1, type 2, type 3, Black American hair can do so much. Part of the reason a generation of us didn't have no hair because we were like, "Oh, looky, hee, playing in our hair all goddamn day." And y'all got it fucked up like, "Oh, you can't grow no hair." And now the average one of us has hair to her waist just because you said something. Just because you said we couldn't. All day, every day, people be coming up to us. What do you mix with? Nigga and mo nigga. Why is your hair so long? Because I take care of it, ho. Like, oh, you're Jarir and your hair is nappy. Ho, your hair is smooth and I can see your scalp without you parting your hair. What's up with that? You you think we want to trade? Who do you think popularized in every life? There's a phrase all over YouTube. I mean, all over TikTok, and they say in every life because it's a bunch of Black Americans, Negroes, descendants of free and enslaved Black folk in these United States. Every time we see niggas doing nigga shit, we're like, I got to be Black in every lifetime. I got, mm-mm. They gonna have to reincarnate me in Mo Black. I got to be Black in every life. And now you see people, ooh, African in every life. African, Africa in every life. I'm like, oh, okay. It's not like you can't say it. Say what the fuck, say what you want. But we started that from self love, from self adoration. We're literally online admiring each other. We see niggas being funny for no reason. We're just like, see, this is why I got to be Black in every life. We see Black folk, we see a choir singing, and they're like, nope, Black in every life. 8. What do you mean? What do you mean? And of course, when we say Black, we're Black is a sticky term because Black applies globally as a racial category, but is also one of the nicknames of the indigenous American. It's one of our nicknames. And this is why people would say, I'm not Black, I'm Dominican. They're like, no, I'm not. Don't call me the African American. I'm not the nigger. I have my own culture. I don't come from those people. People would be confused. We're like, no, you are racially Black. Why are these African American crybabies trying to call me Black? And I'm like, because you got my hair and my nose and my lips and my ass. Like, what do you mean you're not Black? And we're like, oh, we get it. Because Black also doubles as the name of our ethnicity. Because we are the only people whose ethnicity has been changed every 15 to 20 years. African American is not on my birth certificate. African American as a term was not used until 1988. I was already alive when that became a thing. Like, oh, you just don't want to be African. That's like telling us we just don't want to be European. We're just as African as we are white. The average Black American is between 10 and 20% white. That's why we're trying to say, by the way, ethnogenesis, even though we're primarily Aborigine, just like even with Mexicans, they can be primarily Aborigine, but they're Spanish admixture and Asian admixture and whatever. Now they're Mexicans. There's a lot of Americans who be out here like Black Americans, like, yo, I'm a Hebrew. I know my lineage. I'm a Hebrew Israelite because I understand that I come from these people. It's a lot of Afro Mexicans who will tell you all day, like I come from a community, we still celebrate Juneteenth. Black as hell. In Mexico, I'm not talking about Chicanos and Chicanas. People who can go hundreds of years backwards into their lineage and be like, nah, this is who we are. But they're not called Mayan today. They're called Mexican today because of an ethnogenesis. It's not my fault. You don't understand what that is. It's not my fault you haven't Googled the definition already. There are Black Americans who have tons of African ancestry, some African ancestry, and none at all. And we're all called African Americans. And when we say that to you, you fight us. You think I want you fighting me for the right to rip my grandmother and her lineage away from me? My grandfather and his nah. I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be done with you. I'm gonna curse you. I'm going to curse you out. I'm going to grow to hate you. If my ancestors are the most sacred thing to me, it's just like the way that, in Islam and Christianity, their God is the most sacred thing to them. So if you start talking crazy about the Prophet Muhammad, people want to fight you. People want to do more than fight you when you do that because they love him so much. How do you think I feel about my grandma? How do you think I feel about Rosa Jackson? How do you think I feel about Edna Mae Hardy? My literal creators. And you're doing that to all the Black people across the internet, cursing their culture, cursing their mothers, cursing their lineage. And it's just like, all right, well, fuck you then. We saw this happen on a mini level when Mark Lamont Hill was talking to Ish or the fat guy on the Joe Budden podcast, whatever it was, and he kept calling him a pussy or saying something similar, calling him a goofy or weirdo, whatever. And it's just like, don't do me like that. Because even though we boys, it could be fuck you right here and right now. I will walk away and I will turn my back and never turn back. You talking to people crazy about their roots and where they come from. It's like, oh, you don't know where you come from. You don't even have a birth certificate. You got a whole community of y'all whose birthdays are on January 1st because you don't know when you were born. Meanwhile, I can track my people back to the freaking on 23andMe. I kid you not. I know what I'm looking at when it goes back to the 1600s, but they suggest relatives for me that go back to the 1400s. I'm documented in more ways than one. And you want to sit and tell me I don't know what the hell? You talk about baby mama and baby daddy culture like it ain't a bunch of orphans all over Africa. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Y'all been dragging us for forever, and Black Americans been kind of sitting there like, I mean, dragging us since whatever you got here from the early '70s, and we've been kind of sitting back like maybe it's just a couple of them who talk about us like that. It can't be all of them. We gonna let that slide. That's just one individual. We're not gonna do them how people do us. And that was our crutch. That was our problem as Black Americans. We were just like, nah, people stereotype us to the point where they take our lives. We've been hurt by that, so we're not gonna do that to nobody else. We're gonna be better than that. We're gonna demonstrate that there's a better way than that. And decade after decade after decade after decade, and then here we pop up as millennials and Gen Z, incredibly exposed to global opinion about us. And we're like, wow, okay, so it is all of y'all. The ones that truly love and respect us are in the minority of all your cultures. Damn. Some of y'all say things I've never heard a white person say. I've been called more niggers and more Jareers and more this and that by East Africans than I ever have by white people. So when you get online and say, what did we ever do to African Americans? Nigga, are you for real right now? You can't be. You can't be for real right now. You act like all of y'all in all 54 countries of Africa and in all these Caribbean islands, you act like all of y'all don't come and tell us from here to the UK, oh, you have no culture. That's like telling somebody they ain't got no mom. You act like all of y'all don't talk to us like that. You act like all of y'all are not out here. I saw Seren on the grapevine with all these UK black folks and whatever else, and the way they treated Seren, just she was the same color as everybody at the table. But because she was black American, they dissed her so bad. That's all of our experience. There's always one Ethiopian or one Habesha or one, whatever, who is like hella down with us and loves us, and they don't give a shit about none of that stuff they parents and they and whoever talking about. And they be the ones to let us know, like I you don't want to come over my house. You don't want to come over my house. Now we didn't have them in our house a million times. Chocolate, I love your mama. Your mom is like a mother to me. But not your mom. Not your mom who's going off in front of me about the fact that you want to marry an African American, talking about how can she go home and hold her head up high if you marry an African American, who's saying that stuff in front of me, and I'm piecing the words together from a different language, and I'm like, oh, holy shit. And now she's yelling at me because I'm offended. Like, quit playing. I've been the pet African American. I've been the fucking mascot of every group. I've been taken home by everybody. I've been up in my palate is mean because I've had so much cultural exposure. I'm always gonna want that bulgogi. I'm always gonna want that chapche. I'm always gonna want that pancit. I'm always gonna want that bogon and babinka. Like I'm always gonna hit up that baris and that sugo. I'm always gonna have that injera and what. I'm a do some things to that chubajin you ain't never seen before. Palette International. Palette International. Because I've been up and through everybody's house. I was raised like this. I spent a night at everybody's house. I'm not some insular black American who doesn't have experience outside of their own community. And that's not just me, that's a millennial experience. Gen X might have got some of that in the army, but by and large, our communities were more segregated than that. Millennials were truly like integrated as hell, especially as first generation college students, exposed to everybody on a college campus and all up in everybody's cultural groups, hollering at the Polynesian Student Association, the damn Black Student Union, the African Student Union, the Muslim Student Association, just all over the place. And we've seen how you feel, we've seen how you talk. And just like there's a trend on TikTok that never dies, and the trend is this: when you're black, you're never really alone because there'll always be a white person all up in your business. Just like these people have monitoring spirits when it comes to us, even white people say it. Even white people get online and be like, can you stop minding their black ass business, please? Could you just go somewhere and be white, Karen? Even white people be trying to like tell the brethren like damn, black people can't have shit. Why are y'all all in the mix? Because they know their people. And just like this Muslim woman that I started the video, she knows her people. She knows her community, and she's telling you, Black Americans, turn in on yourselves. Put your righteousness, your righteous indignation towards yourselves. Worry about yourselves, because if the shoe were on the other foot, we're telling you these people would not be worried about you. And I can put my foot in my mouth about this, but I think that there's a level that makes us superior. When we can do for the world what the world refuses to do for us, that's a level of human evolution that we have. when you have integrity on that level. And it's not just us. Like I said, I think it's an Aborigine thing. Okay. I think it's an Aborigine thing. We were the original inheritors of the earth, and that's what I'm going with. I think we are this way because we had, I don't want to get to talking about sovereign rights over lands or whatever, but even when you get to the Aborigines of some of these hateful East and West Africans, you get to their Aborigine groups. And I don't want to name any because I don't want to feel like I'm attacking any group, but I'm just like, oh, that's why everybody in your country is mean to this specific group. Y'all have all the humanity. Y'all are good to people. Y'all got ran over because you were kind, because you were humane. People always wonder, there are all these jokes. I can't believe these people who don't even wash their legs in the shower are the people who conquered us. And I'm like, because the gun, the gun is theirs. That's their invention. We can't take credit for that. As many modern conveniences that Black Americans are responsible for, when these Europeans got the gun and they proved that they were willing to wipe people out, people all over the earth were like, we're not willing to do all that. We're not willing to wipe everybody out for power the way that you are. We're not willing to Monsanto people. We're not willing to Cision people. We're not willing to platinum equity people. We're not willing to create a global monopoly where we decide what you eat, what you wear, we're not willing to do that to people because we think that's evil. The Aborigine thinks that that's evil. That, white supremacy that you admire, we think that that's evil. When you can poison all these food supplies, all these pesticides, all these raggedy things on food, you got to spend $8 if you want a proper apple. You got to shop at Whole Foods if you want food that won't kill you. You got people sticking their penises in the butterball turkeys and putting weird things in chickens and feeding people tumors. You got people who pay an arm and a leg for grass-fed cow because you're feeding cows the stuff that they're not supposed to eat. Why are they eating grain? Why are they eating corn? Give these things grass. We got to brag about shit being grass-fed because it's not grass-fed anymore. It's all this stuff is unnatural. And you have groups of people who are just like, we're not doing that. We're not poisoning everybody's food supply. That's whack. That's weak. What about the earth? What about honoring the planet you live on? What's with this oil spill? What's with this dapple? No, we don't want it. AI for what? When I'm creative. I'm creative enough. How many more AIs? Chat GPT ain't enough? Why Grok? Why Grok? To the point where you got Cancer Alley, all these data centers, just people walking to and fro. You walk 30 miles from Lake Charles to wherever in Louisiana, and you got cancer. And you got groups of people, especially Aborigines, indigenous people, who are just like, we're not willing to do that to Earth. But you are. Elon Musk is willing. His father is willing. The oligarchy is willing. We look down on that as Black Americans. We do. We look down on that. Whereas some y'all be seeing that shit as aspirational. Seeing people as gods that we see as demons. You're not like us. Like at all. Always want to shit on our values, but this is who you aspire to be. We can't relate. Some people get to the top because of how low they're willing to go. And that's what y'all don't get about the Black American. It ain't like we got scragglers and stragglers and like whatever else, but our general culture, we're a people of soft hearts. We see shit and we get mad. There's a reason why white people on one hand will tell you we're the biggest criminals in America. But when their kids get lost in public, and I hate this shit, when their kids get lost in public, they teach their kids go find somebody black because they won't hurt you. Go find the biggest, blackest man you can find and tell him you're lost. The same group of people who have committed to this propaganda about my people, who are exterminating us. We're dealing with our own genocide. There's no reason we should be 14% of this country. Our numbers should be way bigger than this. Exterminating our people. You think these school shooters and these crowd shooters and you think it's random? They're all, part of their culture is taking us out, is lynching us. Yet when their children are afraid for their lives, they tell them, go find the biggest black man you can find. I've seen so many television experiments, excuse me. I don't know if it's Nightline or whatever line, something where they have the Asian looking man, the Pacific Islander looking man, having some little white girl pretend you're not my dad, you're not my dad, I don't know this guy, and every single time you could make it a stereotype even because consistently it's the Black American who's about to get funky. Every single time it's the black person who's about to regulate, about to whoop some ass over that child that they do not know. Black Americans are so willing to whoop ass over children we don't know that we execute people in jail who we know have violated children. We created that part of prison culture and it's something to be proud of. No PDF file is safe among us, even if he comes in our own color. While your grown men are on TV crying about not being able to marry 12-year-olds. We're jealous? Are you sure? No, we're fed up. We're tired of you. We're tired of the hatred. We're tired of being scapegoated. We're tired of being in a narcissistic relationship with the globe where the white man is the narcissist and the Asian man is the golden child. And you've got these other people who they might triangulate the Asians with if the Asians get too funky because China don't give a fuck. Them Koreans don't give a fuck. Kim Jong Un don't give a fuck. So they'll triangulate you with some Arabs or whoever and make them honorary right just to try to get you back in place. But this narcissist, this golden child, these goddamn flying monkeys, insert any African country or Caribbean nation, and then you got the black sheep, who is the indigenous Black American. We're tired. What does the black sheep eventually do if they're healthy? They go no contact, aka delineation. You go no contact with an abusive family structure. And the human family is largely abusive to the Negro. You're just jealous. That's why you're talking. No, our feelings are hurt because we gave you what you weren't willing to give us. We looked out for you when you weren't willing to look out for us. Christians be out here talking about John 3:16. Like niggas don't live that every day. John 3:16, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. That's supposed to be the great big deal in Christianity. That John 3:16, they used to put it on the bottom of every Forever 21 bag. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, gave him as in gave up his life, as in Jesus on a cross. And his whole generations of niggas who did the same thing. It's whole Medgar Evers, Malcolm X's, Martin Luther King's, Huey P. Newton's, all kind of niggas who did the same thing. Except it's not that they just gave their son; they gave their lives. That nigga Martin is dead. Malcolm is dead. Medgar is dead. Shut up. And you're a liar if you say that they were only about their people. Martin said an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Was not playing. Black Americans have a legacy of going up for Palestine. We have a legacy of going up for people we had no idea hated us. And because of this internet, right? It's not dial up no more like it was in the 90s. Because of all this access we have, and go look at a comment section, whether it's YouTube, it could be a black baby eating food, and it's like nigger chicken, nigger watermelon, nigger, like people can't stop. It's like niggeritis, like there's an inflammation of the nigger word that people get, and they can't. I remember somebody said, 100 Mexicans versus not saying the N word, and all the Mexicans got mad. And I'm like, nigga and Migo almost sound identical. You can be like, come on, Migo. Migo, please. Come on, fool. Come on, SA. Like we never took none of that from you. We thought it was swaggy. We thought it was dope. We didn't take that. That's yours. We can't even keep the N word out of you guys' mouths. No matter how much we tell you we're offended. There is a little Asian girl in Hawaii. Like, look, if you're black, don't come to Hawaii. If you got a problem with folks saying the N word, because they'll fight you over it. They will fight you over that N word like it's theirs, like it's their their most prized possession. And we be like, yo, that's our word. No, don't say it. Every African, Arab, whatever wants to say it, and we're just like, do you even know what the N word means? You don't. You think it's related to Nigeria? You think it's related to Niger? If you look it up in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, nigger is the slur of a specific group of people, just like gypsy is the slur of a specific group of people. You think nigger is a word for black? That's where you got it fucked up. That's where you got the game all fucked up. You think nigger is a slur for African people? Nigger is a slur for an American Indian. You know that thing that you say we're not? You know that thing that you say we're not? Look it up. Nigger is a slur for an American Indian, not a Native American, an American Indian. You calling us pretendians and niggas at the same time. That don't work. It's a contradiction in itself. And what's crazy is the whole world knows who you're talking about when you say nigger. Whole world knows who you're talking about. We're all about this delineation and blah blah blah. If we wanted to put niggas on the census, nobody would be confused. Nobody would be well I'm a nigga. I'm a I'm African. I'm a no. Not even a Nigerian. Well, I'm Nigerian, I'm close. No, if we put niggas on the census, if that delineation was like, you know what, we're not going to put American Indian, we're not going to put Indigenous Black American, we're not going to put Foundational Black American, which, by the way, stop saying Tariq Nasheed came up with that. Stop trying to do something, stop trying to muddy up Foundational Black American. Dr. Claude Anderson came up with the term Foundational Black American. You will not sully the term Foundational Black American, and it's just another name of the same ethnic group whose slur is nigger. It's not some new group. It's not FBI. It's not CIA. It's not OPP. It's none of that. It ain't no government agent group. It's just another name. Just like ADOS is just another name for the same group of people who go by many names. How do y'all not think on a higher level to the point where you automatically assume it's jealousy? It's hard to be jealous of people you don't want to look like, whether it's a five head, forehead, or gaps that look like field goals, hair so thin you can see the scalp without parting it. Y'all think just because we have nappy hair, y'all think we have the only undesirable features? And undesirable to who? Because I'm a nappy head and all I get is compliments on my hair. Go look at a video. All I get is compliments on my hair. All I get is double takes on my hair. It's like you think we're the only people in the world who have an undesirable feature? Some of these foreheads out here are unbelievable. Some of these eyes and cheekbones out here, these mouths that won't close over big ass donkey teeth are unbelievable. Some of these alien-esque faces are unbelievable. Some of these dry ass, chap ass lips that look like wood chips are unbelievable. And they run in groups of people. You think we want to trade everything we are over your smooth hair? That's crazy to me. That's wild to me. And it's wild to every Indigenous Black American. We're all in shock. I've seen Black Americans who would like to be mixed. I have never seen Black Americans who would like to give up all of their Black. And that is the gospel truth. I'm sure there is an outlier somewhere who all she wants to be is white. But we isolate and punish and shame the hell out of people like that when we find them. I've seen Black Americans who might want to be a few shades lighter or darker. With Black Americans, it's always a toss up. We got high yellow, red bone folk who fear when the winter comes because that summer glow is gone. And now they look like dehydrated dog shit, white as I don't know what, from brown to white. I've seen them want to tweak some things. I've seen people want a smaller nose. I've never seen people who just want to give up Black American altogether. Just like your ethnicity is a flex to you, ours is a flex to us. We don't want to lose that lineage. And that's why we're delineating. How are people jealous of you who are trying to separate themselves from you? We don't want to be mistaken for you. We don't want to be, we are trying to disaggregate. We want to be known for our own works and actions. When people say, oh, these Black people are committing this much crime, it's like, well, that gangster shit is really played out. So who's really doing this stuff? Separate us. Let's see what the Jamaicans are doing. Let's see what the Black Americans are doing. Let's see what the Caribbeans are doing. Let's see what the Africans are doing. Let's see who's doing what. Because we got a feeling it ain't us. Maybe we're wrong and we'll find out it is us. At least we'll know. Once these groups are broken apart, once we're not sitting there like a monolith, Black people and Africans and Caribbeans scream all day, Black people are not a monolith. And then when we try to disaggregate, when we try to ungroup ourselves, it's like, hey, where are you going? We're all Black. I'm like, either we're a monolith or we're not, honey. Now you can go and say I'm being hateful. You can go and say that, I'm bitter or disgruntled, but you just heard from a Muslim woman who don't look nary a Negro, blood in her body. And she's like, look, we are inherently anti-Black, trying to tell you, you don't want nothing to do with us. Stop putting yourself out here for our sake. Worry about yourself. Hear it again.
Before any of you Black Americans go caping for Indians, Arabs, or any of these other groups, you'll have to ask yourself, how do you think they would treat you in their country? If you were in their country, how would they treat you? And the answer is they'd probably shit on you and treat you like you're a no-class citizen, because that's the reality when you go to their country. Yet they come over here, they get everything handed to them, right? You go into their business, they act like some of them are outright disrespectful, but some of them are phony, right? And you should ask them, how do people like me, and put them on the spot, how do people like me get treated in your country? And they'll lie. Maybe the young ones won't lie, but they'll definitely lie. Um, so you shouldn't be caping for them. You shouldn't be virtue signaling for them. Because these people don't like you, they hate you. They're inherently anti-black. The Haji Mart owners, the motel owners, the gas station owners, they are inherently anti-black and they are at war with you. Here, they are making moves to subvert you and your children for generations to come. So when these white people want to get them to fuck up out of the country, let them get them to fuck up out of the country. You sit your ass back and let them white boys do God's work. Huh? Let them do God's work. Let them get them the fuck up out of here. These Arabs, these Indians, these Palestinians, all of them. Every last motherfucking one of them. Because they're all anti-black and they're all posers. Ask the Palestinians, the yellow-skinned Palestinians, how they treat the brown-skinned Palestinians, the indigenous people of that place, of that land. The real people of Palestine look like me or darker. And you ask them about the caste system they have there before you go raising a flag and take your ass outside and protest them for these Palestinians. You have to go to these people's country and see how they behave, how they really are. They're over here posing, they're over here pretending. You can't trust none of these fucking people. And like I said, they are inherently anti-black. Unless you've been over there, which I have, many times I've been to different places. I know how these people are. I don't fuck with them. I don't go into their business. I make it my business to find out who owns what. I look up public records to understand who owns, what, so that I'm not putting my money anywhere these fucking parasites are. So understand it. Your energy belongs in your community, uplifting your people, raising your children properly, you know, doing everything you need to do to build community in your families.
Americans are not black. We are not black. And no matter how much black Americans cry about it, we are not black. We will never be black. Yes, I look black, but we are not black. And it's just a reminder to black Americans who are so pathetically forcing Dominicans to label themselves as black. But we keep telling them
we are not a damn immigrant group. We are native-born, ethnic, foundational black Americans created right here on this soil. We had a unique ethnogenesis, ladies and gentlemen, mixing with the black aboriginal that was already here. The captives brought over from Africa through forced trafficking, resulting in a new people, not an immigrant population. We are not immigrants. Captives did not immigrate. They were absorbed into an emerging population that already existed on this land. Many black people were already on this land prior to European arrival, and then the people forced over, blended in with that. That created an ethnogenesis, ladies and gentlemen. That is not no damn immigration in any sense of the word, ladies and gentlemen. Immigration, that
get it right now and understand where you've come from and how special you are.
Can I just end with this one thing? These four brothers sitting here, we didn't all come from Africa. And there was there was a country before 1492, and our history goes way beyond 1492. So you can't start us at 1492. We were always here.
As the daughter of an immigrant, it is imperative that black people from other places understand the disparate difference that they exist from black people in the United States. It is not the same. Period. And ultimately, the best effort that we can do as a diaspora is to lead in understanding, not in judgment. So when I am talking to somebody from Sudan, from the Congo, from Angola, I am listening to understand their experience, not to undermine it. And I refuse to allow anybody from Grenada, from Angola, from any other place to come and try to undermine the experience of Black Americans.
That's what you do, and that's what we're sick of. We are not jealous. We are not obsessed. We are not focused on you. We are hurt by you. And we are tired, exhausted, spent in regards to your communities constantly coming here and undermining us. I will not stick my neck out for anybody who is anti Black American the way that I used to, because I learned that my humanity and compassion, my empathy is not reciprocated. Before you judge me for that statement, put yourself in my shoes. What are you? Jamaican, Somali, Ethiopian, West African? Would you put your neck out for people who are anti you? I didn't think so.